What is going on, guys? This is your role model of the IWC, and before I get comments down below, I have to wear a mask because I am in a public space, and I want to be respectful so that there's no complaints or anything like that. But night one of Wrestlemania in Tampa Bay, in Florida. Shout out to my brothers that went to the show. We got Colton from the Blue Riot podcast. We got Joseph over on the Big Fight Field channel. And we also got my man Kevin from Bonafide Heat. They were at the show. And speaking of people being at the show, man. Oh, man. Whew. The fans, man. I love seeing fans back in attendance. Even before the show ever began, I actually saw a video with Alana. She was entering the stadium. And while she was entering the stadium, there was a huge Lana Day chant. She stood by. She thanked the fans, did all that fun stuff. But all I got to say, man, is welcome back to the WWE Universe. We very much missed you. And then we started it off, man. The Mania set looked amazing. We opened the show off with Vince McMahon and the entire roster. Literally everybody that is on the current roster, the active roster, was standing on the entrance ramp. They were all socially distant. And Vince McMahon came out there. He thanked us. He thanked the fans for being there. He thanked the fans for their support during the pandemic. And he also said, you know what? Welcome back and welcome to Wrestlemania. So Vince McMahon said he is going to be the guy to take the liberty out of his day to welcome the fans back because of everything that they have done for him throughout this pandemic. So I really did like how Vince was the first face we saw outside of the pre-show geeks like Peter Rosen geek over there talking about the internet geeks. Yeah, buddy. Internet geeks. Then you got you over here, a legitimate geek. But yeah, during this, man, we had Rhea. I wrote this down in my notes, man, because it really touched me a little bit. During the Vince speech, we could see a couple of wrestlers just tearing up, and they really had a close-up shot on Rhea Ripley. She was visibly tearing up, and that is what wrestling is all about, man. The emotion that they create for an audience. I'm going to go into it a little bit later, especially in the main event. I'm going to go into it a little bit later, but we let them into our lives, and to see the impact we have on them as much as they have an impact on us, it is truly good, nice to look at and nice to see. And seeing Rhea Ripley tear up actually legitimately had me tearing up. I almost teared up a few times during this show, man. But then we say, let's get started. It is WrestleMania. Not yet, man. We get a weather delay. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. WWE did a phenomenal job during this weather delay, keeping us entertained, keeping us tuned into WrestleMania. They had a bunch of promos. I'm not going to go over all of them. I do have a note full of those promos. I just don't want to go over them because they really don't matter. So that's going to be something special for us, man. But then we get to the real show. The real show after this weather delay. And we started off with Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. They are the first two faces that we see on the legitimate card. Titus, he came out. He's very excited to be one of the co-hosts for WrestleMania. And then we had Hulk Hogan out there, who honestly, he brought nothing to the table. The only reason that Hulk Hogan was out there is so that they could say, WrestleMania is going to run wild on you, brother. I'm sorry. That was unnecessary. I think Titus did a phenomenal job on his own. I don't really think Hulk Hogan should have even been there. Next, we started off, man, and I'm going to be honest, this match blew away my expectations. The WWE said, you know what? We haven't been in front of a live crowd in over 1 year, 1 month, and 1 day. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give them Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. Drew comes out to a lot of cheers. I knew people were kind of worried that he might get booed. That was not the case. Man, the one thing I can say about this match, man, is this tells you why fans are needed so much in wrestling. This match was amazing, man. It was a very heavy-hitting match. Drew McIntyre at one point hit 3 future shock DDTs. which ended up getting a 2 count out of it. And the whole match, we kept seeing Bobby Lashley try to get the Hurt Lock. He just couldn't get it. He couldn't get it. Drew McIntyre ended up turning in a spine buster into a Kimura lock. And if that's a Brock Lesnar move, the one where he could break your arm, which that actually gets a rope break out of Bobby Lashley. He rope breaks to that. Then we have Drew McIntyre hit the Glasgow Kiss. MVP distracts Drew McIntyre as he goes for the Claymore. And then that allows Bobby Lashley to get the Hurt Lock locked in on Drew. Drew actually powered out of the Hurt Lock, got to the ropes, tried to push back, but Lashley had that thing locked in hard. And believe it or not, man, Bobby Lashley made Drew McIntyre pass out. Now, usually I don't like that. Usually I do not like that. But I don't think you could have convinced me that Drew was going to get pinned. And I don't know why exactly Bobby Lashley didn't win the title at WrestleMania if the end goal was for him to ultimately win at WrestleMania. I would have rather seen that happen. But that aside, this match was absolutely phenomenal. This might have been a top 5 contender for match of the week. I'm not gonna. There was 2 other matches on this card that I think topped it, but this match was very, very good. And that's not to take away from this match when I say 2 other cards topped it, because believe it or not, we thought WrestleMania Night 1 was going to be bad. It had some very low points of this card, but for the most part, man, it was actually a solid show. Then we get a Bayley segment in the back. She is with the NWO and Titus O'Neil, and they do a little shtick there, and Titus O'Neil says, I'm kind of getting hungry. I got to go to catering. Shout out Titus Catering. They do watch my boy JD from New York, if you haven't been wondering. Then we get into tag team turmoil, and oh my lord. This was the worst match on the card by far. I did not give a single fuck about this match. I really did not. Tag team turmoil. We started off with Lana and Naomi versus Billie Kay and Carmella. And this part kind of got me a little upset. They have Billie Kay hit Naomi with a roll-up. Why are you pinning Naomi? If you are going to have Lana and Naomi eliminated, have the non-wrestler eliminated, not the legitimate good wrestler in Naomi. Don't pin Naomi, pin Lana. I'm sorry, that just didn't sit well with me. And then on top of that, instead of Carmella even getting the pin, it was Billie Kay. Billie Kay, who shouldn't even be allowed on the Mania card, yet alone even getting a pin on WrestleMania. I don't even know why that happened. Then we had the Riot Squad come in, man. And thank Christ, Ruby Riot, man. Love me some Ruby Riot. She pinned Billie Kay. Goodbye. Go back to passing your pictures and your resume around backstage. Stay away from the ring. Then we had Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, man. I'm not even laughing at Dana Brooke. I'm actually laughing because of what happened in the entrance. Mandy Rose actually fell in the entrance, and I felt really bad for Mandy, but I can't lie that I did laugh. I did get a chuckle out of it. She played it off on Twitter. But anyways, we did have Mandy Rose play it off on Twitter, and to be honest with you, that's a tough moment. That's a tough moment. That's going to be one of those ones like Titus O'Neil where he slipped running down to the ring in Saudi. That's just not a moment you want to be known for. However, we actually after this we had Liv Morgan turn a senton into a roll up, a swanton into a roll up, and that ended up getting an elimination. And we also had the announcer that was announcing who was eliminated and whatnot. We had him fuck up too, so that tells you about this match. We had somebody fall, and we also had a commentator the announcer say, "Hey, the Riot Squad has been eliminated," when they haven't been eliminated. So that kind of spoiled what was going to happen next, because we had Natalya and Tamina come out, and then it wrote itself to an end where Tamina hit a Superfly splash because Natty actually let Tamina have the moment. which makes me think Natalya is going to get the pinfall tomorrow over Nia Jax. And Natalya and Tamina, they're going to go on to WrestleMania Night 2. So, yeah, Natalya and Tamina, they don't only get one WrestleMania match, they get two. That's something special. I don't even know what to say about that. Terrible match. Absolutely terrible match. The crowd, I don't even think the crowd cared about anybody in this match outside of Ruby Riott. Outside of the Riott Squad in Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. I didn't hear a single peep out of the crowd for anybody outside of the Riott Squad. I don't think anybody cared. I know I didn't care about anybody outside of the Riott Squad. I don't think they did either. The crowd was absolutely dead for that match, and they should be. They should have been. Then we get into so we take it from a very good match to open the show to the worst match I think has been on a WrestleMania in the last 5 years. That match was awful. And then we followed it up with a really good match that I think is up there with the upper echelon of matches this week. And on this card, this was a really good match. We had Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. The match started off fast. We had Cesaro selling his arm. Seth attacked the arm. He was selling it. Seth, he kept countering the swing. He counted, I think it was like 4 times. And then once the one time he didn't counter it, Cesaro ended up getting it off, but he only got 9 swings in a circle because of the arm. The arm gave out on him, and he tried to follow that up with a sharpshooter. That didn't end up working. Seth ended up hitting a beautiful corkscrew splash, ended up getting a 2 count off of that. Cesaro then hit a neutralizer out of literally nowhere. Seth was getting him up, and out of nowhere, Cesaro hits a neutralizer for 2. Seth then follows that with a pedigree for 2. Cesaro then, Seth goes for the stomp. Cesaro catches the stomp, and he tosses the stomp up into the uppercut. And then after that, he picks him up, does the UFO spin where he kind of does, he puts him on his shoulders and he does the spin with him. And then after that, we had another Cesaro swing where he went 23 times, beating his own personal record for how many times he swung somebody around. And then he followed that up with the neutralizer, which allowed Cesaro to get his first WrestleMania victory. Huge moment there for Cesaro. Seth Rollins, like I said, going into this, he has had plenty of Mania moments. He will have plenty more Mania moments to come. He could afford a loss. This was Cesaro's night, and by God, they delivered perfectly, and they made Cesaro look like a legitimate wrestler. Seth Rollins, Cesaro, they absolutely delivered on that match. Cesaro, like I said, got his moment, and I'm very excited to say that Cesaro got his moment in that match because he absolutely 100% deserves that moment. And I think we could possibly see Cesaro moved up the card a little bit. I don't know if we're gonna move him up into getting a chance at the WWE or Universal title, depending on where he ends up after whatever they do following this. If they do a brand, or if they do the shake-up or whatever it might be, I think he might end up in the mid-card scene, unfortunately. Hopefully we could see maybe him and Roman Reigns go at it. Hopefully we can see maybe him and Bobby Lashley go at it. I don't know where we go from here, but it's very interesting. I think Cesaro winning this match was absolutely needed. And the only problem I had with this match is it had really no story to it. And that was kind of the thing about these matches, man. Kind of like NXT too. Really good matches, just not enough story. The build was there, but it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. So that was the only complaint I had. I think the match could even been better if there was a deeper build to it. Then we get into the New Day, man, and for the first time in a long time, we had Big E introduce the New Day. Yes, he introduced them. Oh, Tampa, don't you dare be sour. Clap for your world-famous 11-time champs and feel the power. The New Day and Big E reunite, and they are going, just the New Day and Xavier Woods and Kofi are going up against AJ and Omos. And now, believe this or not, this match wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. What did happen in this match is we got a lot of Woods talking about how AJ doesn't understand tag team wrestling. He's like, you know what we're doing right now? We're cutting the ring. This is what you're supposed to do. And the New Day, they absolutely isolated AJ. And then we finally got Omos to get the hot tag, a very hot tag. Place erupted for this guy, man. Omos booked very dominantly. New Day could not do a thing against him. AJ ended up hitting a forearm off of Omos' shoulders, and then Omos hit some nice power slams, and he gets the pinfall victory himself. And I'm not sure why the lights cut out. Yeah. Whatever. Well, you see what I have to deal with for this? You see what I have to deal with? But Omos ends up getting the 1 foot pinfall. Not a good match, not a bad match. It was an okay match. The only thing I can really complain about mostly is the fact that AJ Styles, he was booked to look like a chump. I'm going to be honest with you. He was booked to look like he had to rely on the big guy. And that's not the way AJ Styles should be booked. I know AJ Styles. I've seen AJ Styles go up against Brock Lesnar. I know it's a 2-on-1 with the New Day, but you're telling me that AJ Styles is going to struggle that much? I just can't believe that. I just can't believe it. It wasn't a bad match. Don't get me wrong. Very, very solid match. It was a very fun match. And it didn't ruin the quality of the show, man. That match was nothing that ruined the quality of the show. I think that actually was a solid match that helped add to the show. It helped give it some what's it called? It's some depth to it. Because you had the good stuff, you had the bad stuff, and that was just somewhere in the middle that helped it boost its profile. Then we had Braun versus Shane McMahon, man. We started this off. Elias and Jackson Riker attack Braun Strowman with chairs before the match ever began. They throw him into the ring. Shane, he gets a chair into the cage. He starts beating Braun with it. Shane goes to climb up the cell. He rips off a piece of sheet metal. He starts targeting the knee of Braun Strowman. We get a coast-to-coast for a 2 count from Shane McMahon. Then we have Shane McMahon try to climb out of the cage where Jackson Riker and Elias try to help pull him out. But Braun Strowman, like a dummy, yeah, I'll say that multiple times, he ran into the cage. He didn't try to pull Shane down. He literally ran and he threw his body into the cage, making Elias and Riker fall off and making Shane McMahon fall off from the top of the cage rather than just getting Shane McMahon. Why would you put your own body on the line like that, man? That made no sense to me. But then Shane McMahon gets back up. He tries to climb his way out of the cage. And there's these random, like, cylinder type of things up there. And he grabs a toolbox out of it and hits Braun on the head. I'm like, there it is. He wins. So he climbs the other side of the cage. He puts his hand through there. He starts waving at him, says bye-bye. Braun grabs his hand and is holding his hand with one hand. And he rips the steel cage apart. Literally, with one hand, he rips the steel cage apart. You're telling me him running through the cage is not enough to break the cage, but him ripping it with one hand is. Oh, I'm sorry, man. That's just a little weird. Yeah, but he ripped the cage apart, dragged him back into the ring. So the cage was literally like dangled in half. So there's this part of the wall that doesn't have any steel chain links on it, where he pulled Shane McMahon back through. And then he started throwing Shane McMahon into the cage. And he actually went to the top of the cage. He dragged Shane McMahon to the top of the cage, where he threw Shane McMahon off of the top of the cage. Braun Strowman, after throwing Shane McMahon off the top of what is it, a 15-foot cage? He decides, I'm going to come on down, and instead of pinning them immediately, he comes down and he hits a running power slam for the win. You're a dummy, Braun. You could have just... He was already standing at the top of the cage. He could have climbed down and won. He didn't have to come back in and hit another move. Or he could have came back in and just pinned him. That was a little weird booking. I'm not gonna lie. It was a cool match. It was better than it had any business being. I said it was probably going to be better than what it should be because of the cage match, because of the stipulation. And it wasn't a bad match. It was just, you didn't help Braun Strowman look any more likable. You didn't tell a good story. The match was solid. It didn't make much sense, but it was solid. I'll give you that. I do have my concerns with that match, but I'll give it to him. Then we get into Bayley. I thought at this point Bayley was going to do her segment, her talk show segment, where we would see a certain last kicker and a certain badass from the UFC return to WWE. But unfortunately, she said, "I can do a better job than you at your job, Michael Cole," and introduced the Hall of Fame class. That's what you saved Bayley for, by the way. I swear I hope Bayley is on the show again tomorrow. I really do. She was on the show twice tonight. Nothing in a meaningful role. I hope she is in a meaningful role tomorrow. I hope that she gets her big moment. I hope there is a talk show segment with her and Becky and Ronda, because that was two things that we possibly heard coming into tonight, is that Becky and Ronda might be in Tampa. They might be showing up this weekend. And with the Becky tease, night one, everybody's assuming Becky might be showing up night one. So hopefully it's night two. But then we get into Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison. And I can't believe this, man. They had Miz and Morrison. I'm not even joking. They had Miz and Morrison walk down to the ring after they had bunnies. I'm not even joking. They dressed it up like the bunnies. And I mean the bunnies. You know, like Adam Rose used to have, the one bunny. The party bunny or whatever it was called. They legitimately had like 20 of those things. Do the little bunny hops all the way down to the ring. And they were dancing in the ring as we had Miz and Morrison walk down to the ring singing, "Hey, hey, ho, ho." Bad Bunny needs to go. I'll finish it for you. You know what? No, I'll make you one better. "Hey, hey, ho, ho. Both of you need to fucking go." There you go. Miz and Morrison, goodbye. Please stop with this cringe crap. Bad Bunny, we'll get into Bad Bunny. Then we have Bad Bunny. He came in on his entrance. Damian Priest got the most basic entrance ever. And then his teammate comes in on a diesel truck. And then he gets to come down to his song. Bad Bunny gets to the ring. I just don't understand why he gets an elaborate entrance. And 95% of the people that have been there for 10 years haven't even got an elaborate entrance in 10 years. Just saying. But actually, man, they booked Bad Bunny pretty well. They booked him pretty well. They made Bad Bunny look strong. I think they made him look a little bit too strong. I'm not going to be convinced that Bad Bunny can legitimately do what Bad Bunny did. They shouldn't have opened off Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny at the beginning of this match was literally dominating The Miz. I don't have any issue with how Bad Bunny wrestled. I don't. I think they should have booked it the way where The Miz had the advantage early, and then Bad Bunny picked up momentum. I think that would work out better, because there's no reason Bad Bunny should be dominating The Miz like he did, especially because this is his first time wrestling. But I'm not going to look too much into that. Bad Bunny, I'm not going to lie to you, he had a very solid performance. I think Bad Bunny actually stole the show. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he stole the show. I think they did book him a little bit too strong. I would have rather seen Damian Priest get some of those big moments that Bad Bunny got. He had a nice bunny buster, is what they called it, on the outside on the Morrison. There was very good moments from Bad Bunny. And I'm gonna say it. He shocked me. He did better than I thought he would. But that does not mean that he should have did what he did. I think Damian Priest should have got at least some of those moments, at least some of the rub. Damian Priest did get a WrestleMania win. Bad Bunny got the pin on The Miz, though. That's my only concern with that one. That's my only concern that I had off that one. And yes, I do have. I thought for a moment that I did not have, but I forgot that. I kind of wrote it on the bottom of night one sheet, and it literally, I tweeted it out. I'm not taking notes on this, and the only reason I did take a note on this is because I didn't know how long this match was going, if I'd remember this moment. But we had Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, and before the match ever even began, we had both of these women looking at each other after the bell rang, and Bianca Belair was tearing up. Sasha Banks was tearing up. You could tell both of these women are passionate about what they do. And I cannot ask for something of that nature more. It is absolutely, absolutely one of my favorite things when somebody goes and gets what they've worked their entire lives for. I've seen Sasha Banks work her way up through the WWE. I've seen her through NXT, and I could not be more proud to see her main event tonight. Bianca Belair, same thing with her. I saw what she did in NXT. I saw how she came up to the main roster. I saw how she became a fan favorite, and she won the Royal Rumble. I saw the progression with both of these women, and I can't be more proud of both of them. So I'm very happy that they had that moment before that match even began. But man, this match was amazing, man. I'm going to tell you right now, this was the best women's match on the main roster in a long time. I can't even tell you the last time a women's match has been this good on the main roster. This match was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Bianca Belair, she was booked throughout this match very, very well. Very well. This match was very fast-paced. We told the story of Sasha Banks using the hair against Bianca Belair. Obviously, we know how Bianca Belair has that long braid. Sasha Banks used that braid and into getting into moves. She used it in a multitude of ways to try to beat Bianca Belair. We saw very athletic moves. We saw kind of like what do you call that? A somersault, I guess, type of thing. But very athletic out of Bianca. Sasha, very, very methodical in her approach. Two clashes of styles that we knew were going to be good. And I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe my eyes. Because we had Sasha Banks try to go for a bank statement, which would have came out of the backbreaker. But Bianca held her up. Then Bianca actually was able to get the KOD, the kiss of death, hit on to Sasha Banks after because Sasha came out of the backstabber, and she used her hair as a whip. We've seen her do that a few times, and it left a huge, huge gash on the side of Sasha that they showed after the show was going off the air. It looked absolutely brutal to take. I would have never done that spot. I'm going to be honest with you. That looked like that had hurt. The slap itself sounded really bad. But the kiss of death ended up happening. And then I'm sitting there. I'm like, there's no way Bianca just won. There's no way. And then we get the 1, the 2, the 3. I'm like, I'm literally not joking. I was speechless. I did not expect Bianca Belair to win. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm repping Sasha. That doesn't mean that I didn't think that Bianca deserved it. Bianca absolutely deserves it. I just assumed that since Sasha Banks has never won, and you got to change this next year, by the way. This can't keep happening. Since Sasha Banks has never won at a WrestleMania, I assume this was the year. This was the year because, yes, Bianca did have all the momentum after the Royal Rumble, but they really didn't really capitalize off of it the way they should have. But hey, this is the story that should have been told. Bianca should have been the one to win. She deserves this. She should be the one. The only problem I have was with the build leading to this. But that is not to do anything with WrestleMania. That is to do with Raw. That is to do with SmackDown. That is to do with their shitty creative. More specifically SmackDown, because they're both from SmackDown. But that has to do with the weekly shows. That doesn't have to do with the WrestleMania. This match was amazing. I think this match went about 17 minutes, 15 minutes, somewhere in between there. It wasn't a super long match, but these women in that main event absolutely killed it. And we got to see Bianca Belair in the show holding up the SmackDown Women's title. So I was very pleased to see that. I was very pleased to see how the match went down. And believe it or not, man, I'm actually very pleased how night one in general went down. The only couple bad things that happened on the show were the weather delay. Some of the booking. I'm not going to say the matches were bad, but some of the parts in the matches were a little questionable. And then the women's team turmoil crap. That was the only match I can legitimately come back and say was garbage. Everything else earned a passing grade, in my opinion. Everything else got at least a 7 out of 10 if I was rating it. That match itself got like a 3 out of 10. Yeah, obviously you can't do anything about the weather. That's nothing that they can control, so that's nothing to worry about there. But hopefully you guys did enjoy night one of WrestleMania. I know I did. I did not think it was going to be that good. I think night two is going to be better. I thought that going into this. I still think it's going to be better. And if night two can top what night one did, I think it's going to be a very good show tomorrow night. Believe it or not, I think it's going to be a very good show. So we should see. Make sure you go see all my content that I posted this week already. We did do some Mania predictions with Joseph Conlon and DJ Storms. You'll have to zoom a little bit into the video because night two predictions start somewhere in the middle. But it's been a fun week. It's been a fun week getting back into the things. And we got one more coming at you guys tomorrow. You know where to find me on it. Twitter at GamersGoonYT. And you know where to find me on the Instagram at thegoongameryt. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you comment down below what you thought of night one WrestleMania. But for right now, I will be getting on out of here. I will see you guys on night two of WrestleMania 37.